And I could come here on this camera and tell y'all that it's hard, because I know it's hard, because I've done it. I've got rid of these vices. I chose discipline over pleasure, but sometimes it creeps back up. Sometimes you say, I'm gonna just choose pleasure for a weekend, and then that weekend turns to a week, and then that week turns to a month, and then that month turns to 3 months. That 3 months turns to 2 quarters, a half a year turns to 2 years, 3 years. So, and it's gonna be hard. It's not easy to get rid of it, but you gotta cut it off eventually. You gotta cut it off, and the faster you cut it off, the faster you're choosing discipline, the faster you're on the road to where you really need to go and want to go. So. Silent but deadly. As y'all can see, I'm trying something new for the Silent but Deadly episode 8, man. What's up? As you can see, quick aside, the Silent but Deadly show. Your host. I was about to restart because I'm going slow, but in life, you gotta understand that you're gonna make mistakes, and if you just fight through your mistakes and you don't let your mental thought process get in the way of what you gotta do, you can get past those mistakes and get better. You just gotta be strong when you're weak and take your time and watch yourself grow over time. But as I got to starting to talk about, I dislocated my finger doing jiu-jitsu, and it definitely taught me a lot. I'm not gonna get into it in this podcast, because I figure I could say that and tell y'all about the experience once it's over, because I'm still currently healing. Finger a little bit swole right now, as you can see. But I'll talk about that in another episode when it's all said and done, when I'm healing. But this episode, as you can see by the title, we're gonna be talking about discipline versus pleasure. And I almost got into writing some notes about it, and that probably would have been a good idea, and maybe kick this episode another time, a second time, and do it with the notes, or maybe the notes will come in the next episode. But I decided to just turn on the camera and rock out a pod real quick. I had this idea about doing discipline versus pleasure, and before I get into it, I know y'all see the new camera angle. We just switching it up. We just trying to keep improving on the Silent but Deadly show. Boy just got a new cut, so it's a special episode of the Silent but Deadly show. But yeah, discipline versus pleasure, man. Discipline versus pleasure. Just want to let that sink in with y'all while I get my thoughts together. Just discipline versus pleasure, man. It's an interesting thing, because really, in our current society and just the way we live life, the way we all experience life, our whole life is really just a battle of discipline versus pleasure. If you really want to be great, if you really got goals, you got to make sacrifices, and a lot of times to get to some place you want to be, you got to do the thing that's uncomfortable. You got to do what's hard. But doing what's hard is hard, obviously, and when you in this situation, you're doing something that you don't want to do. So obviously doing stuff that you don't want to do is hard. And we live in a culture where a lot of things that we see and a lot of things that we're told to do, it leans us more towards to the pleasure side, when the discipline side is the side that's going to help you grow and help you actually accomplish certain things in life. Instead of just living a life where you exist, you live a life where you actually live. And so the discipline and the pleasure comes into place where you got to have a balance, because if you're not disciplined enough, eventually it's a time process. Eventually you're going to run out of options, and you're going to feel pain, you're going to feel bad, but it's only because you didn't put that discipline in. But if you just feel pleasure, it's going to feel good for the moment, but later in the future, it's going to catch back up to you. And discipline versus and pleasure is something important to talk about, especially for people that's trying to come up, people that came from nothing, or people that don't have, not necessarily came from nothing, but people don't have anybody that's going to put you where you want to be. Like if you want to be financially free and you want to bust your own moves and do what you want to do, which personally what I want to do, everybody want to do it. Everybody in Gen Z want to not work too much but still have money to do what they want to do. Everybody want to do it, but it's up to you. And if you don't have the means to live the lifestyle that you want to live, or nobody can provide it for you, then you got to get it on your own, because you can't really be trying to search for no handouts, and you're not gonna get no handouts. And that's the truth of the matter. So anybody that's in a position where they want to be somewhere where they're not, even not having to do with money, if somebody has a goal, like they want to get better in sports or they want to get good grades, you got to have the discipline to put the extra hours in on the basketball court every day. You got to wake up early, get your shots up in the morning, then go to practice and recover and study film. You got to do all that. You got to do what other people's not doing, and you got to be consistent. You got to do it every day. You got to make it a lifestyle. You got to make it a grind. If you want to get good grades, you're gonna have to put that studying time in. You're gonna have to study when you first learn it. You know, people, a lot of students that got by in high school that didn't really study. You don't gotta study basically at all in high school, but once you get to college, man, if you want to be great, if you want to be better than everybody, you gotta study the day the topic is introduced. You can't wait. You gotta study every day. You gotta get on that every day, a little bit every day, and that's how you be successful. And that's the things that separate success versus mediocrity versus the bottom. And then the bottom of the bottom, that's what separates those things. And so if you don't have anybody that's gonna put you in the position you want to be, and you have the mindset that you want to get on your own, you can always try to go get handouts. You can join different organizations looking for a handout. You could try to exploit a talent you have, or exploit the media, or exploit something and try to get success in like a weird way, like just like broke to rich type thing, like overnight type thing, like a weird way to get money. Then that's a handout. I'm saying, that's one thing. If you ever pay attention, listen to like people, they always say, is such a popular like insert statement when you don't have nothing to say and when you're trying to think. So that's why I'm trying to, figure out how to step around that. And I say, I just want my ideas to flow. I want everything to make sense the first time, just off the dome, and I don't have to think about it and pause. That's what I'm trying to get, and so I'm getting better. But when we're talking about people that come up, if you really want to get it out the mud, if you really want to get it from your own and build something, if you really want to plant a seed and watch it grow, then you're going to have to, have discipline. You're not going to be able to do everything you want to do. You're going to have to do things that's uncomfortable. And I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the camera, but really I'm talking to myself, because I'm on this journey too. I'm just trying to help people, because I know I can tell you the information, and I had the information in my head, but applying it is a whole different beast. Applying it is where the heart comes in. Applying it is where you can have the information, you can know something, but you really don't know it unless you apply it. And really, if you've only learned it and haven't tried to apply it, you only have a surface level understanding, because there's things that you learn from applying it. So if I'm trying to teach for example, I'll give y'all an example of applying versus just understanding. So I don't know if I've talked about this, but I'm a trader. I trade the Forex markets, the currency markets. But I've been trading for close to two years now, I believe. Almost 2 years. I started like around this time in 2020. And it's about to be 2023, it's 2022. So I've been trading for about 2 years. And so I have experience in the markets, and I have experience actually making money. I have experience losing money. And I've just experienced trading. So, and there's somebody in my class, and I gave him my course. Well, I gave a lot of people the courses, $500 course, even more than that, value in the thousands. I gave this to people for free, and just nobody really want to do it. So I guess when I really take off trading, if that's what God has for me, then they gonna follow me. They gonna want to do it because they see that it works. Even though I'm trying to tell them it works, you gotta put the time in. But I guess I just gotta lead by example. I gotta stop playing and do what I gotta do. But applying versus just knowing, I can teach somebody about the application of trading, but this is not anything that I learned from the course that I give out, that I learned from that I give to my homies so that they can try to learn too. It's stuff in the course about, you can learn it, you can learn the base level stuff, you can learn what I know, but I can teach you about the application of the stuff because I've done it, I've lived it, it's experiential. So experience is very important. That's a very important thing in life, but that's a whole nother episode. Experience is super important. I'm gonna have to write that down. I'm gonna keep that in my head. Experience, that's a good something to talk about or try to spin it into something. But application versus knowing. So when you gotta put the grind in, it takes time. I'm telling y'all what I know. I'm telling y'all about discipline versus pleasure, but I gotta apply it and do it myself. And then later down the line, as these years progress and I'll put the time in, and as I work out these things I need to work out these things I need to work out, I can come back to y'all and tell y'all about the experience that I carry. I can tell y'all about application of these principles, but right now I'm just explaining the principles of discipline versus pleasure. But actually applying it and actually being disciplined sometimes is a whole nother beast. It takes a whole nother aspect of yourself, because just learning and making a mental shift is one thing, but application is something that's totally different. It takes a whole different muscle, it takes a whole different set of strength, it takes heart. So on this road, if you choose, you got a choice. You could choose discipline or you could choose pleasure. And a lot of times, and it depends. Like I was saying earlier about the people that have like support nets and have family money and whatnot, they just put in position. None on them. I'm not hating, but if you're not in that position, then you're gonna have to do something different. If you're not in that position, then choosing pleasure over discipline has more dire consequences. What I've learned from being out here in college, what I learned from being out here on campus is that it's people, and I think a lot of my peers, a lot of the people that I know out here that I talk to learn too, that it's difference between people. Like some people got crazy bags, like some people got that money, and so they out here just on a 4-year party. They're not really out here on nothing. They out here because they gotta be. And if they out here and they crash out, then it is what it is. They're gonna go back to their nice mansion. They probably still be mentally jacked up or whatever, but that's just how it works. That's just how it be. Make this look nicer for y'all. I'm gonna just get that out the way. But when you get it out the mud, choosing discipline, when you have to get it out the mud, we don't got nobody to save you, then choosing discipline is gonna put you in a better position than somewhere you need to be. So I'm gonna tell y'all exactly from my point of view without saying too much. So in high school, going to college, I had between discipline and pleasure, and it's different areas of life where you had those decisions where you can decide to put the work in and be disciplined versus just like vegging out and doing whatever. And there's that for smaller issues and there's that for bigger issues. So for me, it was easy to choose discipline in certain areas, but then you have your big areas where you have to choose discipline versus pleasure, and I think those are your vices. I think your vices are things that you have in your life that make it hard for you to make the right decision. They're so captivating and they're so present in your life and you're so addicted to them that they essentially become, I think that's a vice. It's the biggest choice that you have to choose between discipline versus pleasure. So coming up, my vices that were small, they were easy to get rid of. Because getting rid of those things will help me advance to become a better person. For example, social media was a small problem, a small vice that I had. It was on the medium side. Social media was on the medium side, but like let's say for example drinking, and like just like drinking or like stuff like that would be like a small vice. So it would be like small things for you to get rid of. And for different people, there's gonna be different things. For different people, your small vice is gonna be easy to get rid of, and then you got your medium vice, which is the social media, and that also was an adjustment period to get rid of, but I got rid of it. So that's just two things I chose discipline, because those are two things I know that if I get rid of them, it'll help me grow. And so now I'm just trying to attack my bigger vices, and I ain't even gonna get into that because I want to come to y'all after it's all said and done. And I'm really not trying to get into that on this episode. But if you're watching this and you know me, you probably already know what's going on. But right now I'm having to make the choice between the biggest vices I gotta get rid of. And I'm telling you, it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy. But I know that if I don't get rid of these big vices, that in the future I'm gonna regret it in whatever way. I have certain things in my head that I believe might happen if I don't listen to get rid of these vices, but it could be worse. It could be not as bad. I don't know. I don't know the future, but I do know for sure that the course of my life will be different if I get rid of these big vices and ultimately choose discipline over pleasure. And I could come here on this camera and tell y'all that it's hard, because I know it's hard, because I've done it. I've got rid of these vices. I chose discipline over pleasure, but sometimes it creeps back up. Sometimes you say, I'm gonna just choose pleasure for a weekend, and then that weekend turns to a week, and then that week turns to a month, and then that month turns to 3 months. That 3 months turns to 2 quarters, a half a year turns to 2 years, 3 years. So, and it's gonna be hard. It's not easy to get rid of it, but you gotta cut it off eventually. You gotta cut it off, and the faster you cut it off, the faster you're choosing discipline, the faster you're on the road to where you really need to go and want to go. So, and I know this is not going to connect with everybody, because if you don't have a reason to choose discipline over pleasure, then why would you choose discipline? Because discipline is not easy. It's only easy and it's only enjoyable once you've done it for a while and you see the fruits of your labor. But the transition period from pleasure to discipline is not easy. It's not easy. It's not fun. And like I said, this is not going to connect with everybody, because everybody doesn't have to make that choice, because some people, their lives isn't only pleasure. But to be honest, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I believe that you have to have discipline in your life. You have to do things that are uncomfortable and uneasy to live a good life. Because if you just live in pleasure, then it eventually is going to turn to chaos. And this is true. This is very true. That might sound crazy, but this is true. Look at celebrities. Look at rich people's sons and daughters. Not even celebrities, because they're dealing with some totally different stuff that's more than just discipline over pleasure. But just even think about just like rich people in general that don't got no type of fame or anything. They still jacked up in the head. They still on heavy drugs. They still got heavy skeletons in the closet. A lot of them is not good people. I'm not talking about everybody, but just in general, like, yeah, if you know, you know, basically. And so, and these are people that don't have to choose discipline. These are people that simply can live pleasureful lives and just do what's easy all the time. And they might have little things they gotta do, but it's not no real problems. Like, some people gotta really gotta get rid of some of their vices in order to move into a different place in life. And that's just not a choice everybody has to make. And I believe it's a choice that is essential. It's very essential. Because look, if you're not a person that looks into the future and not a person that examines how what they're doing now will affect them in the future, because there's a saying, I'm not gonna try to think of it right now, but there's a saying that says what you do, like, basically today is going to determine what you're doing years from now. Like, your habits determine your future, type thing. So if let's say you're in college like me right now, and you don't have an idea about how you're going to be in position where you want to be, and you don't have a plan, and you're not actively working towards something every day, doing the uncomfortable stuff to work towards that, then by the time you get to the future that you've been envisioning is going to be something totally different because you haven't been laying the bricks, you haven't been building the foundation. So it's essential for you to get rid of the things that's going to knock off the foundation. If you're not laying the bricks every day, if you're doing something that's not helping you be motivated and be energized to lay the bricks, or even if you're doing something that, even if you are laying bricks and you're doing something that's slowing down the time and slowing down the process, then you got to get rid of that. And that's discipline versus pleasure. You got to get rid of it. And it's not easy. Like I said, I don't know how many times I got to tell y'all it's not easy. It's very hard, but it's very worth it. And when I climb over these hurdles in my own life and in my own head, then I have a victory story for y'all, and I could come back to y'all and tell y'all about discipline versus pleasure and how it works out. But it takes work, it takes heart. And right now I'm gonna give y'all a book recommendation. I'm listening to this David Goggins audio book. I listened to the first one, but the second one is real good. And you don't got to take his principles as like the Bible or anything, but some of the things he said and some of the strategies he'll give you will just help you get out of that mental rut and help you understand that your mind is much more capable than we give it credit for. And once you just get past your feelings and emotions, you can tap into a new potential, and you can just basically get stuff done and turn into a person you didn't know you could be. And this is essential. It's been helping me. It's been helping me as I'm trying to fight and trying to battle. And like I say, it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. And I think I usually like to kick the podcast for 20 minutes. I mean for 30 minutes, but I don't even want to draw this one out too much because I think I said like a lot. I think I said a lot in this, and I think this would be a great episode. And I don't want to ramble and saturate or water down the message or what I said in here. But I want to thank y'all for watching. If y'all enjoy, if I helped y'all out, if you rock with me, if you disagree, let me know with the likes, the comments. I don't really tweak on that. I'm not really tripping on that. But if y'all got anything to say, man, I love to hear it. I love to respond to y'all in the chat. But yeah, man, we working. I'm trying to get the production better. I'm trying to get some new habits so that I can keep learning this editing and Photoshop and like video production. That's what I really want to learn how to do, is like make these like YouTube type videos. But it's gonna take work, it's gonna take effort, it's gonna take time, but hopefully eventually we can get it cracking. And right now we working, so this is a new makeshift. We switched up to setup type thing. We chilling. But thank y'all for watching. I hope it's no background noise because I just kicked this whole podcast and realized this air purifier is on. But if y'all got this far, then hopefully y'all got the message. Hopefully I was talking loud enough. This is my crib, new angle. So let me know what y'all think about the angle. I think it's cool. We're on a tripod. But yeah, Silent but Deadly. We're going to get out of here. Episode 8. New episodes every Sunday. I already know what's going on. Let's go.